Belinda Audio presents this unabridged recording of There's a Bear in There and He Wants Swedish, written and read by Merridy Eastman.
Dedication. To Roxanne Dar, living proof that life actually begins at 70, and whose company I love so much that if they weren't my parents, I'd have to adopt them. There's a bear in there, and he wants Swedish. If there's one thing they hate at Centrelink, it's an actor. What else can you do? Colin asked without taking his eyes off the screen. I mean, you can't just put down acting. Well, I began my descent. I've never done anything else. Not even waitressing? I shook my head. Colin peered at me over his glasses. I thought all waitresses were out-of-work actors. I laughed. Have you brought your CV in? Colin asked. Yes, I said, desperately searching through my black hole of a bag, but I don't think it's going to, Colin looked on with disdain as I smoothed out my crumpled 3-page CV on his desk. Robin Gardner Management, he read out loud. Is that an employment agency? God, no! I nearly choked. That's my agent. It was an actor's joke, but Colin eyed me with as much contempt as if I'd come in wearing a doublet and hose. I considered telling him she was Kate Blanchett's agent as well, but suddenly the comparison filled me with utter despair. You were a nurse? Colin asked. What? Says here, Sister Mary. No, that's a nun. A nun? 5 Mile Creek, television show. Colin scanned my career. It seemed to upset him more than me. Are all these television shows? No, most of it's theatre. Colin spared me his response. Sister Josephine? He inquired tonelessly. Another nun. Get a lot of nuns, do you? Yes, I do, actually. I laughed. Must have a good face. Colin looked at my face. I mean a good face. Colin looked tired. Well, you can't expect to find work with this, he announced, changing gears and leaning back in his chair. Oh, dear, I sighed. I mean, according to this, and he gave my CV a dismissive flick, you have no skills whatsoever. Ah, no skills whatsoever, he repeated. Did you see the 2 Green Room Award? None, concluded Colin, tossing his pen down on my papers. I never realised 15 years of playing character roles in largely British comedies could so offend a person. It reminded me of the time I worked for a community theatre company in Marrickville. They too found my classical theatre background offensive and middle class. I left when Alfonso, a shirtless brute who called everyone comrade, ran over my foot with the van. Roy, at Job Finder, was much more pleasant and more than a little excited that I'd been on play school. I love Noni, he beamed. I smiled as I searched Roy's desk for photos of his children. And John, he added quickly. If Noni knew the number of grown men who enjoyed watching her on all fours, smiling into the camera, she'd never sing again. So let's have a look at nannies, shall we? Roy sang in joyful play school parody, and I laughed heartily. As I watched Roy's fingers dance merrily on the keyboard, it occurred to me that looking after other people's babies might plunge a single girl in her late 30s into a serious depression. Roy, do you know what I'd really like to do? Roy's fingers hovered mid-Rachmaninoff. I think I'd like a job answering phones. Roy looked terribly disappointed. Telesales? He asked incredulously. You mean telesales? No! Lift the roof off a telesales office and thousands of tiny unemployed actors scurry everywhere. I was thinking more a receptionist, answering phones, putting people on hold, that kind of thing. Roy paused, then tapped something into his computer. Won't be a moment. He smiled, and we waited. So, do you know Noni? We only worked together once. Both on at the same time? Roy asked, too eagerly. No, we just both...
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.